Welcome back to another Land Rover build. In this episode, we're doing bush cables or limb risers, depending on where you are, what you call them. Pretty much what we're doing is we're running a cable from the top of the roof rack all the way down to the side of the car. So picture it, the track's overgrown, you've got branches, you've got leaves, you've got twigs, everything hanging over the track that you're driving on. What the bush cables are designed for are to hit those branches and push them away from the car, rather than those branches hitting your front windscreen and potentially doing a lot of damage. We have everything over on the table next to me, so we're gonna run over, we're gonna run through it all with you, and then we'll fit it on the car and go from there. See you in a second. Here's all the parts we're gonna be using for the bush cables. First off, we have our wire rope. It is galvanized, but we've also got plastic coated. The reason for this is because it's gonna be harder to rust. From there, we have our mounts. So these are for the front of the car. So our jaw and jaw bottle screw is going to attach to there. So from there, we have our eye bolts. The eye bolts are going up the top of the roof rack. And then we have our two carabiners. Now, these guys are a locking carabiner. So you have to unscrew them all the way down to get them on and then re-screw them all the way up to lock. So they're going to hook onto the eye bolts. From there, we have our wire rope grips. These are to clamp onto the cables. And then these guys are going to crimp the ends so we don't have any sharp bits hanging out. So let's grab all of this, head back over to the car and whack them all on. All right, so what we're first going to start off with is the eye bolt. Now, me, personal preference, I want the eye bolt right in the corner. So we've got that kind of shooting outwards. If we really wanted to, we could put it on the mount here. I'm not a huge fan of that. So we're going to go probably about halfway through this curve. For it, 6mm drill bit. And right in the center there, perfect, and here we go. There we go, through. Now remember as well, to get rid of all the metal swarf off the top of your car, because as soon as it rains and gets wet, it will rust. Put her in, tighten her up. And before we do anything else, we'll jump onto the other side as well. So we're going to do both sides at the same time. Now that we've got both the eyelets on, we're going to move to the front of the car. And of course, you put the bonnet up. What you can do, if you've got a bull bar on your car that's got hoops all the way through, so unlike mine where I just had the front hoop, a lot of the other bull bars have the hoops that come all the way over onto the headlights. You can actually take the cables through to there. You can buy a mount for the UHF, which allows you to sit them on the front of the bull bar. I haven't got that luxury, unfortunately. So what we're going to do, so with our little L-shaped bracket, we're actually going to put it about right there. And then we're going to run our cable all the way up. The disadvantage to doing this is if I need to open up the bonnet on the road, can't do it because of where they are. You can get other ones that are like a Z, so they actually come out to the side here. It eliminates the need to have to take the cables off before you open the bonnet. I unfortunately haven't got luxury, I'm not doing that. I'm just putting them straight there and then the bonnet will close completely missing. One thing to remember though, especially on the Land Rovers, when you get to the end of the bonnet, it tapers off. So we're mounting the bracket right before that taper, and all we're going to do is just pull the seal up so we've got access to everything here. Put 2 Tech screws in it, then do the same on the other side. All right, so like I was saying, all we're going to do is we're going to pull that seal up and put it to the side. As you can see here, we come down the bonnet and there's a little lip here. This is where the side of the bonnet starts to taper off. So we're going to put our bracket right on that line and then with a Tech screw right in. Something else to remember as well is to put these brackets hard up against this edge here. Otherwise, when the bonnet closes, it will clip and you will mess up your bonnet. So that's one in. And there we go. Now what we can do from here is we can actually grab the top of that and just, if we just slightly flex it out, so when we do close the bonnet, it'll shut down nicely. After that, all we have to do is just refit the seal, and that's it. Let's jump on the other side, do the other side, and then we can run the cable. Perfect. Now we've got both brackets on. We're just gonna close the bonnet, and we're just gonna make sure that it misses on both sides. And looking at that, yes, we fit on both sides. So once we have that fitting, we've got the bonnet down, we're gonna grab our jaw and jaw screws. We're also gonna grab the carabiners. The carabiners are gonna go up the top on our eye bolts. These guys are gonna sit down here. And when we tighten these, that's what's gonna tension our line all the way through. Let's get both of them on and then we'll grab the cable, run the cable, work out exactly how much we need and then go from there. So what we're going to do first is we're going to run our U-bolt through, like so. We're then going to run our cap through, again like so. Here are our nuts. Now, our nuts are a 6mm, so if you do have a 6mm open ring spanner, you can use that. I unfortunately can't find one, so we're using a shifter instead. So once that's on, kind of semi-tight, we just nip them up, just slightly, just ever so slightly, nip them up. And then we're going to pull our cable all the way through and just create a little noose head like so. Now I'm happy with mine about there. Same thing, we're going to grab our second one and we'll run this guy down a little bit further. Now up to you, personally, I like to have everything universal. Not universal, but I like everything pointing the same way. So we're going to put that like that. Again, repeat the process. Bring our clamp on. Going to put our nuts on. Now again, M6. And we are going to run them on and again, tighten them up. With these, you don't have to finger tight them. You can just tighten these right up. With this leftover cable, all I'm going to do is grab some electrical tape. We can even run heat sink up and we can heat it all together that way as well. Now that we've got our cable the length we need it, we're just going to run a bit of heat sink up to the top here and we're going to cover the end of the cable with it just so it's not flying around and doing its thing. So what you do, cut a bit of heat sink, lighter, and you just heat the heat sink up and it'll actually clamp up around what you need and just make a nice kind of seal. And then from there, you don't have to worry about it, you know, coming out, poking you, none of that kind of stuff. Really, really, really good stuff. Now that we've got that done, we're going to do the same this side. First off, run your heat sink first, because once we've tightened everything, we're not getting it on. We're going to run our cable through. Now we don't need this overly tight, we can have this a little bit loose. All right, so we're going to then run our U-bolt through. Now what you might have to do is the same thing we did before, where you actually run it a little bit further down. So we can get our nut on. There goes nut one. Don't need that one anymore. Now I seem to have lost nut two. That's all right, we'll find him, we'll put nut two on and then tighten her up and go from there. The problem with 6mm nuts is when you drop them, you can't find them. So we're going to put our other 6mm nut on. Now we want to get this looking about the same as that. So we've come down about that far, fantastic. We're going to tighten her up. Now you can see already, we already have a slight slack in it. And that's what happens. All right, let's get this tight. And then get the other one on. And then we can tighten her up. All right, now that that's on, all we have to do is tighten this. It's going to in turn tighten our cable. And once we do have it tight to where we want it, all we have to do is tighten up our nuts. And that'll lock that into place and ensure that this doesn't come undone whilst we're on the road. Let's jump onto the other side, finish it off, but I reckon that's it for this video. Actually, pretty easy, pretty quick thing to do, cheap. I think all up, it was about 50 bucks. I would branch out more into the $60, $65, but that's good. So now when we go forward driving, we hit those limbs, it's gonna push it away from the car. I'm excited to give them a go. See you next time.